The Zen philosopher Basho once wrote, "A flute with no holes is not a flute. A donut with no hole is a Danish." Or was it Lou Diamond who said that? Who the heck can remember?
Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
When you're down and trouble and you need a helping hand and nothing is going right.
Welcome everyone to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. We have somebody back on the show today, a former professional golfer, now dedicated to unlocking the potential in others. He's an executive coach and the founder of Appello Partners. He is also the founder of the Leadership Majors, an organization formed at the intersection of leadership development and golf, creating unique experiences that entail meaningful learnings, intentional relationships, and world-class golf experiences. Now, I will tell you this is one world-class golfer. We were just talking about some world-class golf. We're going to have a lot of fun in this conversation. It's been a minute because he was on the show a long time ago. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you Thane Ringler. Thane, welcome back to Thrive Loud.
Thanks, Lou. A lot of fun to be back here with you. And man, you've got some endurance in the game. I think you've hit 1,000 episodes or are close. That's just incredible. I just want to celebrate all of the work and effort that goes into that. I did a podcast for a little bit, didn't come close to 1,000 episodes. I know how much work that takes. So bravo and an honor to be back with you here.
Truly a pleasure. Look, it takes people like yourself and others that have been on that made the show what it is, and I'm glad to see you back in action here. So let's do a little rewind and a catch up for our listeners. I want to focus on you here, and we're in the thousands now. 1,000 something, 5, 6, 7. I have no idea where we're at. I lose track of this stuff. By the time we're recording this, we mentioned golf. We were recording this the day after the U.S. Open, and Bryson DeChambeau just won at Pinehurst. And I was chatting with a golfing guy here. We were just feeling the sympathy for Rory McIlroy. And maybe at the time this episode comes out, who knows, maybe he would have already rebounded and come back in another golf tournament because we feel for him. But from one great leader to another, why don't you bring everybody up to speed and share with everyone what you're up to and what you're focusing on today?
Yeah, well, it's definitely, I miss the sport of golf a lot. I miss competing. I get to compete for fun a couple times a year, which is great. But now I get to work with people in their organizations, on their teams, on leadership. I work primarily in the lane of leadership development. It's a real joy and an honor to come alongside others and serve them in that work. I launched my firm last year. It's called Appello Partners. We're based here in Denver. It's just a group of people that share the same heart and passion for the work and being strategic partners with people and unlocking the potential of their people. And that really starts with understanding ourselves, how we're wired, how we show up to others, and what it's like to be on the other side of us. To create the healthiest cultures possible and to really empower the people on our team to be their best version of themselves, and then multiply that leadership throughout all levels of the organization. So that's been a lot of fun. And as you mentioned, the golf side of it, really working on creating more events and experiences that use the game of golf as a mechanism or modality to teach us about ourselves and about lessons that we can take beyond the golf course, because the game is so rich in those lessons, even just watching it like we did at the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Coaching, leadership. It's really interesting because to someone that played a sport that is very individualistic, right? It's focused not on a team sport, but it requires a lot of coaching. And I guess I want to help listeners understand how you've deployed your coaching expertise from your backgrounds in helping leaders thrive, and how much golf maybe has helped to contribute to that.
Yeah. Well, I definitely went an unconventional path into where I am today. And I think most of our roads are windier than we would like. And I think that's kind of akin to life in a lot of ways. For me, I had the benefit of partnering with a larger group called Giant Worldwide for a lot of the resources on the leadership development. So they've created a toolkit of about 70 tools, a couple different assessments, an online platform that makes the work a lot more scalable than I could do or build on my own. So that's a huge asset that we deploy and use on our team. And that I love that because that allows me to bring in my unique experiences, perspective, and a lot of the work that I've done individually on myself and with others, and from others. It's definitely not a bootstraps journey. I've had a lot of support along the way. But it allows me to take that and facilitate alongside the tools and the content in a way that is really liberating for me and for those that I get to work with. Golf itself, when I turned professional, I competed for about 4 years as a professional on different developmental tours, overseas for a season. Never made it to the PGA Tour. That was the goal. But one of the things that's great about golf is that every single shot, you get instant feedback. And so you have, 70, hopefully less than 70, but at least around 70 opportunities to see what the inputs produced in the outputs and continually try to refine and improve that process. Not only that, you get to see the effects of pressure, like money invested into tournaments, travel fees, all of that. Opportunities like one chance a year to make it through Q school, having all of that extra pressure added on. These combustion chambers of pressure really bring to surface everything that's beneath the surface. It really highlights the iceberg beneath the tip that's more visible in everyday life. And that is such a fun process of discovery and such a brutal way to learn, but necessary in many ways.
Thane, from your purview, the seat you're in, and the leaders you're helping to become better leaders, what seems to be the hot button today? What's the biggest issue that you are seeing more commonly across those that you're working with? What's the biggest challenge leaders are facing today from your seat?
There's a lot. I think one that really pops up just initially is the intergenerational component, right? I think that's always been a hot topic, right? Because it's always present. There's always going to be multiple generations among teams or organizations. That's never not true. But I think we're more aware of those differences. COVID amplified some of those differences. Technology and social media has made it that much more apparent, and maybe sped up some of those differences. And so a lot of the conversations that I'm having and some of the work I'm doing is honestly to not use that to justify poor leadership, to not use that reality or that presence of difference to say, well, it's just because they're X, millennials or Gen Z or whatever, fill in the blank, right? Just lumping people into a group and saying, well, because of that, it's not going to be possible to do this, which is just lazy. A lot of times it's just an excuse to not have to work harder, to be more intentional, to find a way to meet their needs and allow them to then help us meet our needs. Yeah. And as leaders, we have to go first. And so a lot of what we talk about is leading through influence and not authority. It's shifting that paradigm and saying, not do what I say because I said so, but do what I say because you want to, because you respect the leader that I am, and you know that I care about you and I'm for you as a person, which means that I know you, which means I understand you, which means that I recognize what's valuable to you, that what you really want, and I try to help you get there. And that's a very different paradigm or experience.
Thane, it's funny when you have a problem with your golf swing, it's really hard to, brain surgeons cannot operate on themselves, and great coaches will stand there and they will witness what the problem is. And a really good coach will work with a golfer and help the golfer figure it out without really telling them what to do, kind of asking where they can get to. I want to talk about that tactic in working with the leaders today. You mentioned obviously the generational issue. There's some other challenges. Of the leaders you work with, do they know the problems that they have? Are they able to see it, or they know there are symptoms around the issues? Maybe their organization isn't kicking on all cylinders the way it should be. Maybe they're not getting the performance numbers they want. Maybe they're not getting the best out of themselves, and you're able to maybe see what that is, but they don't. Would you say there's a visualization of the clients you're working with and understanding what the problem is, or do they really need a good coach to help them point it out?
It's a great question, Lou. I love that you brought that up because it's true. Having a third party, an objective external person come in just always shines light on things in a different way than we can see from within usually. I would say that some of the benefits of the work we do is honestly just simple accountability. It's saying we've got a monthly coaching session with a leader, right, in a typical engagement. And that means that every month we're going to talk about what happened. And it's not it's really not about being perfect and winning all the time and executing always. It's really about understanding why we didn't when we don't. And we don't a lot of times because we're all human. And that's okay. But if we can learn from it, right? I can't remember the golf quote that said it, but basically failure that you don't learn from is really the only failure there is, right? Same with a golf shot and same in leadership. And so how can we take those learning opportunities, process them, understand what happened and why, and what our tendencies are that contributed to them so that we can get better at intercepting those tendencies before it leads to actions. And I think one of the biggest insights from this work, just from even doing it over the last handful of years for me as a coach and a facilitator of it, is it's really less about changing the tendencies themselves that we have, because that takes a long time, right? I mean, we all have weird things and personalities and things that are really ingrained. The thing that's a lot easier to change are the actions that result from those tendencies. So if we become more aware of our tendencies, we can intercept them before the unhelpful actions take place that are really undermining our influence as leaders.
I like this. I also think, it makes it easier to not bite off too much than you can chew, not trying to make a goal that you're trying to seek too big. It's more about those little habits, those little behaviors that bringing this back to golf analogies here, like what you do before the shot or what's going on between your ears. By the way, one of my favorite coaching / leadership books I've ever read was Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. And Dr. Jim Rotella, there we go. I couldn't remember his name for a second, but Dr. Rotella really nailed down this, try to get out of the mindset that you're going to do the perfect thing, hit the perfect shot. It's about putting in those procedures and steps that gets you in that mindset and repetition. And great leaders who do this will lead well and have great steps with it. And I think you and I agree on this. So let's go through helping people move through the challenge into winning. Talk about situations that when you see somebody's in that challenging phase, like you could see the goal, even they can see the goal, but there's a lot of work to do within that steps. In working with you, or maybe even what you've seen from other leaders that you've helped work with, has there been one particular tactic or one specific thing that you like to do most with your clients in helping to coach them? Is there a certain drill, exercise, practice, thought, mindset exercise? I'd love to hear what that is, if there is one.
Yeah. Well, I think at its simplest, most fundamental level, there's two: the beginning and the ending. Really, is I think the two things that highlight. First, the beginning. So for every coaching session that I have with a client, even on the group level, at times, I am pretty committed to having a 1-minute pause, and so to just open up the time to create presence. I want to have space to shift from the myriad of things going on in our mind to the present moment and now to make the most of it. The life's very demanding. It's very full. It's very loud. Not in the positive sense of your show, but in the negative sense of distracting. And so how do we create some presence, a sense of calm and peace in the here and now, so that we can actually see more clearly, process more completely, and move through it more effectively. And so I put a minute on the phone, I click start, and we sit there in silence. In person, virtually doesn't matter. I want to create space where there's freedom to just be, and have that be the place that we operate from. Now, I think that's a really powerful practice. It's simple. It's 1 minute. It can be longer or less, but I learned that from golfing, and I committed to doing headspace meditation for 10 minutes before every practice session or round on the course or tournament, because mentally I was weak. and I needed to be better, stronger, more present, more clear, and able to focus. And it was one of the greatest tools or practices to help me be that. It's hard to do that though in real life. And so a minute felt attainable and easy enough and approachable enough because, not everyone has practiced some version of meditation or mindfulness before, so it can be somewhat unnerving. So that's the beginning side of it. And then the ending side of it, I really want to just create a sense of clarity on what the next steps are and how we'll know we've been successful. And so one of the most important pieces of the work that I do is just being ruthlessly committed to clarity and specificity on what's going to happen beyond that so that we can drive outcomes, and then being sure to follow up on it to just check in and see, hey, what happened? How did we do? What can we learn from it? And I think those really fundamental things are some of the most important parts of the process for me.
Thane, I asked this question when you came back a long time ago, which was, when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you seek or what individual do you seek out? I actually believe, if I remember, you said some form of meditation. But I wanted to ask this question a little differently. As it relates to your coaching work, who do you seek out if things aren't jiving the way they are? Who's a mentor you look to or someone that you can confide in to help get you back on the track you need to be on, whether up here or just on the focus or in your business? Who's that individual in your world?
Yeah, I've been blessed with quite a few along the way. Right now, I think my go-to is a guy named Landon Lynch. He's been a great mentor for me. He's on my team as an advisor, he's a few years down the road of where I'm at, and I just am so grateful for all the time and energy he's invested into me and helping solve problems, helping to spitball things. And I'm actively working now, even on building the team at Appello more intentionally. I'm currently on a reset with my associates to just get more intentional about how we work together and collaborate to level up for our effectiveness for clients, because going alone just isn't possible to do it well, right? We're always going to be better with others in collaboration, in partnership that's intentional, that's shares the same heart and passion for the work. And it's true in golf too, right? Like, I love that at the US Open this year, they handed for the first time the caddy a trophy. Yeah. Like, that's so needed. I mean, that is such an integral part of the team. They do so much for the success of the player and get so little recognition. So it's unarguably true for the work that I do now and for the place I'm in today. So I'm super grateful for their support.
On a note, and this only applies to those that actually got a chance to watch the U.S. Open, they also gave an award to the greenskeeper for what a spectacular job he kept the course going. I'm like, that place looked miserable. I didn't want to be anywhere near that course.
Totally.
Every time they called it the wire brush or whatever it was when you were off the fairway, which literally I think Bryson DeChambeau hit every single hole in the back nine. I just kept looking at this. I'm like, it's like Plinko and a ping pong or pinball machine out there, trying to hope that your ball doesn't get stuck in one of those little bushes. Anyway, I digress. I guess that's part of the challenge, the U.S. Open. But I do agree with you that giving the caddy that recognition, it would be funny if they gave it to another caddy. I always thought about that too. Wouldn't it be great? Listen, he did a great job, but this caddy did a better job. I understand. They're trying to honor the team. Let's do the admin part of the show. Thane, bring everybody up to speed, where they can find you, websites, URLs, where they can learn about Appello. It always gets engagement more better when they hear it from you. New English here on the show.
I love it. Yeah, AppelloPartners.com is where you can find all the goods on the leadership development work we're doing. That's 2 P's and 2 L's. Appello. It's Latin and it means to call up or to drive towards, and that's really the heart behind the work. So AppelloPartners.com is a great place. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on socials. My handle is @ThaneMarcus. I've got a website, personal website, ThaneMarcus.com. I do some writing on there as well. Newsletters on both Appello and Thane Marcus, so those are always fun. And then, the leadership majors is leadershipmajors.com. Those are still getting rolled out. But if you've got a team or a company that does golf offsites, reach out. We'd love to talk about leveling up those experiences and adding some more value.
Like it. By the way, I've got a lot of people to point you in the right direction because all they're really doing is just drinking maybe too much or smoking too many cigarettes. But I digress. Okay, we're going to do a different version of the Fun Street bit here because while it's been a long time, I'll start off rather than go down the movie route. I'm going to make it a little more specific. Does Thane Marcus Ringler have a favorite sports movie of all time that he loves to watch or rewatch if it happens to be on?
Man, I'm gonna shift this one on you, Lou, because to be honest, I have a hard time coming up with movies. But I do have an easier time coming up with the books.
Okay,
and
even better.
I'm gonna go with there's 2 golf books that I've read recently that were both phenomenal. The first one is called Golf in the Kingdom. Michael Murphy. It's a classic, and it's just a deep dive. It's an amazing story about this mystical golf teacher in Scotland, and it's a personal experience that the author had. And then it's also this amazing metaphor to life and the discovery of what golf can teach us about life. Such a fun adventure. If you love golf, if you love thinking about those things, and you love Scotland, 100% recommend. The other one is more recent, and that's by Michael Bomberger, I think, and it was called The Ball in the Air. And he does a beautiful job of weaving 3 different individual stories together, all surrounding the game of golf, all from different eras, and just such a cool job of telling their stories intertwined with golf. Couldn't recommend more.
I like it. And it's Dr. Bob Rotella, by the way. I don't know what name I said earlier before, George Jim or something like that. It's Dr. Bob Rotella that wrote Golf is Not a Game. Perfect. We digress, but we bring it back. We just gave 3 book recommendations here on Travel Out. All right. We're going to do the speed round here. I'm going to ask you something. First thing that comes to your mind. These are things that lift you up, motivate you. Basically, they make you thrive. Here we go. Of late, Thane, a song that you love to listen to or one that pumps you up?
Less pump up, but more recent. James Taylor, You've Got a Friend.
Oh,
man,
what a classic
he's just
here.
so good. Yeah.
It's not surprising with the mellowness that you have. I could see that. It's a good one. I thought it was going to be like Caroline on My Mind there for a second.
That's so good too.
Favorite food that is not a dessert?
Recency bias sushi. I'm getting it tonight, so I'm pumped.
Like it. Favorite dessert?
Probably some version of ice cream. I recently peach milkshake, Chick-fil-A. It's hard to beat that.
Oh, wow. An activity you wish you did more of?
Hiking, adventuring in the outdoors, especially living in Colorado. It's almost criminal how little I've taken advantage of that.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Really, the only thing that popped in my mind is phone. So any time on phone that doesn't need to be on phone, I would say that would fall into it.
A new activity, one that's new to you, that you've recently tried, that you like so much you want to tell everybody else to try?
What has been new? Gosh, have I really not done anything new? Oh, we did, I'm so boring. No, we did Painting with a Twist, my wife and I, here in Denver. One of those, guided painting with some wine or open
that's fun.
bar. It's so fun. Yeah, I want to do more of that.
Okay. If I could snap my fingers, Thane Ringler could be anywhere in the world. Where is he?
First place popped up was St. Andrews. There, we got to go a couple times. And last year we were there in this apartment right on like the coast, just to the south east of the old course. And it was just one of those magical settings. It feels very like you're in a movie. So I'll be there again.
I like it. Maybe you have to take me. I'm going to have to go in your bag and we'll go there.
Yes.
I think that's the thing.
Totally.
Thane Marcus Ringler. Hey man, welcome back to the program. Glad we got you on the next 1,000. See what we did? We had you in the early years. Now we got you going forward. Great to hear about Appello. Great to hear about all the things you're doing. Always a pleasure to catch up. Thanks for coming on the program, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Lou. I'm in for the next 1,000 too, so pencil me in.
Everyone kept wishing me 1,000 for all these episodes, and I'm like, no, not that many more. We'll see. Thanks again, man. To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall, yeah. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh, yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.